All of my kids are here, told me what's been going on, so I'm gonna have to let them take over. So, Marjorie, what's...
We weren't supposed to cry out here. We're supposed to like laugh and like have a good time and just be like...
Hell, it ain't funny. You think cause a man don't tell you how much to spend, that mean go ahead and spend whatever you want? No, I'll be affected by it all this way, but I am. It's difficult,
So it looks like the drama in Steve Harvey's family is getting hotter with every new day, and now there's just the cheating rumors, but the tension between the family members that comes to play. Apparently, after reading the headlines about Marjorie's intimate adventures, Steve's biological kids lost their patience, and they yet again reminded the Family Feud host that Marjorie was with him only for the money.
Every time an invoice came to me, I went, whoa, what is that? You know what they said? Oh, that's her dress. Her dress!
Now, kids are trying to convince Steve that Marjorie is simply using him for personal enrichment, and all her talk about love is actually a master plan to squeeze out more cash before she dumps him. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Celeb Live Channel. When looking at the family photos of Harvey's blended clan, you never expect that there's actually too much tension behind the scenes. And in fact, Steve's biological kids hadn't accepted Marjorie as a new matron of the house.
Me and Marjorie first got together, we brought all the kids together, all 7 of them. And all the girls went bowling and came back and decided they didn't want us to get married and said they don't think it's the right thing to do.
Looks like the real mess is only getting started, and the biological kids of Steve, twins Karli and Brandi, and also 2 sons from the TV host's previous marriages, Broderick and Winton, are not happy to see Marjorie as the head of the Harvey clan. The streets are talking that kids are tired to see Marjorie blowing thousands of dollars on her luxury lifestyle. And it looks like Steve is so used to be just a money bag in Marjorie's life that he doesn't see how this woman is deceiving him right under his nose by playing with his feelings for her. However, Steve's kids are shocked to find out that his dad is planning to squander all his fortune on Marjorie's caprices. And he doesn't even hide this fact from his children.
When you come to the reading of the will, it's gonna be some shock. Now, me and your mama is spending 85% of all the money I'm making.
Now, you may think it's all about money, guys, but let me tell you that it's not the only thing that Steve's kids are worried about. Since the very start of Steve's relationship with Marjorie, the whole thing felt fake for them, and they even confronted their famous dad about marrying this vile woman. As Steve himself admitted in one interview, and all the girls went bowling and came back and decided they didn't want us to get married and said they don't think it's the right thing to do. However, the worst fears of Steve's kids actually came true after he and Marjorie tied the knot in a lavish ceremony in 2005. The Family Feud host completely focused on his new wife and her much younger kids, and especially he was favoring Lori, who at that moment was 10 years old, and Steve showered both of them with gifts and his love. Well, just to give you an example of how Steve was treating his own kids.
I didn't really have my dad full-time into my life until I was 16.
And here's what twins Karli and Brandi were saying about their absentee father. Dad, we didn't understand why you left us, but we know now you had to go. But leaving kids behind to embark on road to success and wealth in order to later provide for them pales in comparison with how Steve allegedly treated his younger son, Winton. According to Steve Harvey's ex-wife, Mary Lee Harvey, the comedian was taking the super old-school approach when it comes to disciplining his son, and of course, it stirred some jealousy when they saw how Steve built a brand new family just with Marjorie and her daughter, Lori.
I told you I wanted to start dating. So you took me on one of our annual father-daughter dates to my favorite Japanese restaurant.
Now, the kids have always felt that there's more to the story, and Marjorie's intentions were not pure. The tension between Steve's biological kids and Marjorie grew even bigger when a few days ago, the rumors about Marjorie's infidelity hit the headlines. Guys, I don't know how much you've heard about that, but it seems like Marjorie allegedly had an affair with the Harvey's personnel as she was apparently spending too much time with the family's chef and Steve's bodyguard behind the closed doors. Marjorie was quick to dissect all the speculation writing on her Instagram. My husband and I don't usually stop to address all the foolishness and lies that have been spread about us. However, to whom much is given, much is required. I understand that with my platform comes some sort of responsibility to those that may not be as strong as we are. But her words didn't convince Steve's kids, and they are still thinking of Marjorie as a laying and unfaithful person who aims at their dad's money.
Where do you think they're getting it from? Especially Winton. He not only looks like Steve, he behaves just like Steve.
Now, with the whole cheating drama, there's a high chance that Marjorie may found a quick way out of this marriage, especially if more details of her infidelity are leaked online. And fans are saying that Steve was making a huge mistake by trusting his woman. As one user wrote, "Now, how stupid does Steve look? He should have listened to his daughters when they were telling him, I don't feel sorry for him." And another user added, "I think Marjorie knows how to play the game well and has her daughter riding her coattail. It's all about that money." And you think that these are just stupid speculations and kids' jealousy that's talking? Let me remind you guys that Steve and Marjorie weren't a thing until 2005. However, their first meeting happened in the 80s when Steve was as poor as a church mouse.
We actually dated 25 years ago. but I was becoming homeless, and so we only dated for a year, and I didn't have the money, so I never drove back to see her.
Well, as you know, Marjorie wasn't the type to endure the poverty and wait until her partner become rich. If you remember her previous relationships with the two men, you should know that this lady isn't cheap. Her first husband, a man named Jim Townsend, had quite a shady business, selling prohibited substances together, and he recently published a memoir about their marriage and how they were running the whole thing together. In his statement, Jim said, "I have no allegiance to Marjorie. She showed her hand. I'm going. Tell my story. It don't matter if she knows about it." Now, it's obvious that after Jim Townsend went to prison for his illegal activities, Marjorie wasn't sitting idly waiting for him to come back to her. And that's when Steve finally stepped in with his thick wallet, saying he's now the man she'd been looking for.
Working, he ain't got nothing, he can't give you nothing, he can't replace nothing. He ain't got insurance.
And as Steve's kids are now saying, Marjorie's thirst for a lavish lifestyle was so big that she was hoping from one man to another, looking for someone to provide for her again and again. Before Steve, Marjorie was briefly married to another dealer, but this man also ended up behind the bars, leaving her hustle on her own.
You learn from it. You apply what you learn, you move on.
And Steve quickly rushed to fill the vacant position next to Marjorie, and little did he care about her motives. The TV host spared no expense creating a fairy tale life for his beloved wifey, and fans have speculated that Karli and Brandy, who originally objected to their dad marrying Marjorie, didn't get along with their stepmom because they saw right through her since the start. Well, Marjorie already gave away her true intentions when she joined Steve at his show and attempted to give some relationship advice, and then...
It's one of those things, once you know what you want, and if he wants you, then he knows what it's going to take for you.
But it looks like Marjorie went too far with her games, and instead of atmosphere of love, the family dynamics is getting even creepier with each new year, and it seems like seeing that daddy doesn't want to change his decision and stop idolizing his wife, the two daughters have been distancing themselves. And if you a little search, guys, you may notice them being absent from Harvey family photos for more than a year. Let me remind you guys that the twins have always been the most vocal about their mistrust towards Marjorie, and as Steve himself mentioned, they cool with everything. The four girls, just total mayhem, totally against it. And apparently, when his kids mentioned that they don't see Steve and Marjorie's relationship working out, Steve just chose to turn a blind eye to all of their reasoning.
I'm sitting there going, y'all ain't got a relationship, a good job, a career. I'm paying for colleges and I don't know how I'm listening to y'all making some decisions.
At this point, fans just hope that Steve will see right through Marjorie's dishonest nature and admit that even a relationship guru can make mistakes when it comes to charming women. People on social media wish Steve to find some courage to face and address the growing pile of problems in his own marriage. They wrote, "Steve is a grown man and he will have to learn this lesson the hard way. I am sure Steve knew about Marjorie's past. It's out there, so it is what it is. The kids will just have to get over this one." And another user added, "Steve is the exact opposite of the wisdom he portrays himself to have out there. Gullible to fake love of Marjorie. He feeds his ego with Marjorie's beauty, and Marjorie feeds herself with his money. Karma at work." Well, one thing's for sure. Steve needs to stay away from Marjorie if he wants to keep relationships with his biological kids. And what do you think about this, guys? Is Marjorie working on her divorce strategy? Or will she stay with Steve for the end of his days to enjoy a huge chunk he leaves her after the demise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to know what you're thinking. And in the meantime, check my other videos about the secret life of Marjorie and her cruel plans. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to get more juicy details